Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to school. Welcome back to the math period. Today, inshallah, we have the first chapter in grade 7, math grade 7, and we have the first lesson. We want to learn today or to revise the rates. The rates, what the meaning of the rates, what the meaning of the rates. So today we want to learn the rates. We want to learn the rates. So our lesson about how to find unit rates. How to find unit rates. So what's the meaning of the rate? What's the meaning of the rate? Rate, a ratio that compares two quantities with different kinds of units. So the meaning of rate, a ratio that compares two quantities with a different kinds of units. For example, if we have fraction, the name of this fraction ratio. So as you see here up in the numerator, we have 160 beats for the heart. And down in the denominator here, we have 2 minutes. Beats and minutes, different unit. So when you want to compare between different unit, the fraction here, the name of this fraction will be what? The rate. Will be what? The rate. So this is the meaning of the rate. A ratio. Ratio means we have fraction here. We want to compare between two things. But here we have two quantities. This is the first quantity and this is the second quantity. But we have different kinds of unit. The unit here will be beats and the unit here will be minutes. So we have different kinds of units. This is the meaning of ratio. So the units, beats and minutes are different. When you have the different unit in the ratio, means you have what? You have rate. You have rate. Now, what is the difference between rate and unit rate? Unit rate, when a rate is simplified so that it has a denominator of 1 unit. When you have ratio between the difference unit, but in the denominator here, always you have 1. Always you have 1. Means the name of this rate will be what? Will be unit rate. Will be unit rate. So the unit rate means when a rate is simplified so that it has a denominator of 1 unit. As you see here, we have 80 beats, and here we have 1 unit. Always when you have in the denominator here 1, means the rate here will be what? Unit rate. The rate here will be what? Unit rate. So the denominator here 1. So what is the difference? What are the difference between rate and unit rate? What are the difference between rate and unit rate? Rate means we have ratio between the different units. When you want to compare between the different units, means we have rate. Now, if the denominator will be 1, means the name of this rate will be what? Unit rate. Right. See now with me this video to know what the meaning of unit rate.
Here's the beginning of the new set of standards here for 7th grade, the ratios and proportions aspect of it. This video is really just going to talk about the unit rates and real basic ones at that. And we'll get into more about ratios and areas and measurements and about that kind of stuff a little bit later. But like I said, this is going to be a real quick intro. So let's talk about when you might see something like this. So let's say you are driving a car and you're going 100 miles in 2 hours. Well, no, this is kind of scary. Let's say you are the passenger of a car and you're driving along 100 miles in 2 hours. And we're going to try to figure out what is our speed. Now, I know you probably can already do this, but what we're going to do is sort of define this in a little bit more formal sense for math. So I'd like you to write these down in your notebook, okay? We'll talk about what a rate is, okay? So a rate is a comparison of two quantities measured in different units, okay? So that's what that was talking about in that previous one, right? We were talking about miles, driving 100 miles in 2 hours, right? So you're talking about two different units. And if you've really been sort of working along with the definitions of division that we've been working with lately, this shouldn't be surprising, okay? Now, unit rate is when we have a rate where the denominator is 1, okay? And often what we're going to do is we're going to use the word per or for each with unit rates, okay? Not always, but you're going to see it that way a lot of the time, okay? And I'll explain a little bit more about what unit rate is here in a second. So let's go back and let's take a look. So you, as the passenger, because you're too young to drive, if you're in my class. If you're not in my class, then maybe you could be behind the wheel. But so you're traveling, right? You're not driving. You're traveling 100 miles in 2 hours. So we're going to talk about how many miles are we traveled per hour, right? So when we see this idea of per hour, we know that this is a unit rate problem. So let's talk about how we're going to solve a unit rate problem, okay? Well, these are really just division problems, okay? And so this division, right, this is the definition that we discussed earlier this quarter. So we were talking about division is really when you just make groups of stuff from a bunch of stuff, right? You start with a bunch of stuff and you make groups of it. And what you're going to do is your answer is going to tell you either how many groups you can make or how much stuff is in each group. Okay, well, when we talk about unit rates, this is a unit rate, okay? How much stuff is in each group, right? And so here's the key thing. Each group, right? It means one group. And that's what we talk about with unit rate, when you have that stuff divided by the number of groups. So typically when you have a rate problem, you're going to know the total amount of stuff. It's going to be in one unit. And then you're going to know the number of groups, which is going to be a different unit, okay? And then you're going to divide those things to figure out how much stuff is in each group or one of those groups. So let's go back to the passenger problem, okay? So you're driving along in this car, you go 100 miles in 2 hours, and we want to know how many miles are traveled per hour. Well, let's talk about what is the total stuff that we're talking about here, right? Is the 2 hours the stuff or is the 100 miles the stuff, okay? And which one is the groups? Well, this is telling us, right? It says how many miles, okay? So we've got miles, and then you got this word per hour, okay? So this is basically saying the number of miles, this is the stuff, right? This is the stuff we're working with, and after per, this is the group, okay? So it's going to be miles, right? The number of miles I have, and I'm going to divide it by my groups, okay? Which is going to be hours, okay? And this is going to tell me the number of, right? Because then I've got my total amount of stuff, right? Total amount of stuff divided by my groups tells me how much stuff is in each group. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to just go ahead and fill this in. We're going to say 100 miles in 2 hours gives me, right, 100 divided by 2 is going to be 50 miles in 1 hour. Okay, so really I'm just going to be dividing here to figure out how much is in each group. Okay, and that's really just the idea of sort of what I've been setting you up for when we were talking about division. Okay, and you'll notice, see how the units set this up really nicely. Okay, if I talk about this is the stuff, these are the groups, this is the number of stuff in each group. And by this, when I say each indicates one. Okay, so can you think of some special rates? Speed, I just gave you one of them, is a special type of rate, right? We use it so often, we gave it its own name, right? When you talk about speed, what you're talking about is how far you travel compared to each, time unit. Maybe you're talking about miles per hour. Maybe we're talking about, if you're talking about the in metric units, oftentimes we talk about meters per second. Okay, so that would be the distance unit is meters and the time unit would be seconds, and I talk about for each second. So go ahead, you think of some special rates. All right, so not necessarily an easy one. Maybe you looked it up. That's what, maybe that was something you did. I don't have a problem with that. Okay, so here are some of the things that I came up with. All right, speed is one. Okay, that's miles per hour, or that's what we typically use in the United States, but it's really just distance compared to time. Density, we typically will talk about grams per milliliter or per cubic centimeter. Often, really what you're talking about is you're talking about the mass of something compared to volume, like the amount of space that it takes up. Wage rate, that's one where we talk about typically the dollars you make per hour. Maybe you talk about if it's your salary. A lot of times we talk about dollars made per year. Acceleration is you compare speed per second. Okay, so the amount of speed you increase or decrease per second. Slope typically talks about elevation, like how high something rises compared to how far over it is. And this is a big one we'll talk about later. Okay, your download rate, maybe how fast something downloads, the number of megabytes or gigabytes something does per second or per minute. An exchange rate is something we talk about if you go to a different go to a different country. You might say if you're going to go travel to Japan, you would change your dollars and you'd need to know how many dollars per yen you have, or how many yen per dollars. PSI is something that measures pressure inside of something. So if you've ever pumped up your bike tires or a basketball or a football, there's typically a number on there that says something, like if you're pumping up a basketball, I think it recommends something like 10 PSI, and what's really talking about, it's pounds per square inch. So it's the number of pounds of air inside of each square inch of the ball. That indicates pressure. And then BMI, hope you might have talked about this, that's the body mass index, right? That's something we talk about in health oftentimes, or just when you're talking about your body. And that talks about the mass of your body in kilograms, I believe, compared to cubic meters. Okay, so, and it's actually more complicated than that, but it's basically your mass. It's sort of another version of density. So your mass divided by how much space you take up. So, okay, so let's get working here. Literally. So let's say you decide to get a job at Dunkin Donuts when you're in high school. You can drive to this job now, okay? Since we projected you into the future, you could be driving that car. Although that car is a pretty expensive car, so you're going to need to work a lot of hours at Dunkin Donuts. Your paycheck says you have worked 12 hours and you made $96. So what is your hourly wage? Okay, so this one doesn't set up perfectly for us the idea of what we're finding, right? The different units. So this is something you're going to need to you sort of have to look at this, and sometimes you're going to have to determine, do I think that the dollars is the stuff, right? Is that what I'm starting with? And then I'm going to divide it by the number of hours. Like, am I trying to find the number of dollars for each hour? Or am I trying to find the number of hours I have to work for each dollar that I make? And you could make an argument for either one of those. But in this case, hourly wage does mean a specific thing, okay? And in this case, it actually means dollars per hour. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at this. So we're going to say that my hourly wage is going to be equal to the dollars. This is my stuff, right, for each hour. Right, for 1 hour. Okay, so my stuff, right, the stuff I'm working with is going to be equal to the dollar amount, and my groups, okay, are hours. Okay, and that's why I'm going to put it as, right, dollars per hour. Okay, that's my dollars. So I know my total number of stuff, right? The total number of dollars is actually $96. Okay, and I also know the number of hours, right? Because this is a unit rate problem. That's what I'm looking for. Hourly wage is a unit rate, and so I'm looking for how much I make per hour. And I know that I have 12 hours. Well, $96 in 12 hours, okay, is how much for 1 hour, right, per hour. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and do 96 divided by 12, right, because it's 96 in 12 hours. So let's break that down, divide this by 12 to find how many it is for 1 hour. Well, 96 divided by 12 is going to be $8. So this would be you would be getting paid $8 per hour. Okay. And maybe an added question here is to figure out if that car that I put up there early, how many hours would you need to work at $8 an hour in order to afford that car? I bet it's a lot. Okay, moving on. Let's try one more here, okay? I'm really excited. It's coming out really soon. So let's say, let's give it a second here for the music. Soak it in. Oh, it's so good. All right, so let's play, and I'll just kind of turn it down in the background, so hopefully you can hear me okay. So in anticipation of the new Star Wars movie, you have decided to watch all of the previous movies, okay? And after purchasing the digital version, right, let's say you're going to watch it at home, you're going to watch it on your phone, whatever it is, right? You buy a digital version of it, okay? And you start your download. If the movie takes 4 minutes to download and it's a 36 gigabyte file, what is the download speed? Okay. Well, when we talk about download speed, okay, download speed, okay, right? If you see speed, right, speed, this thing right here, that's going to always talk about per second. Okay. So in this case, it's a download, and we're not talking about like a car speed or like a distance speed. We're talking about download. So it's going to be the rate at which I can, the file size, right? So it's going to be file size. This is my stuff. File size. This is the stuff. Okay. And my groups. Okay. And speed, the group is always going to be time. Okay. In this case, time is minutes. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take file size, and we're going to divide it by minutes. Okay, this is what we're going to do. So let's just fill it in. So I've got my file size is 36. Let's do it over here, right? So I've got 36 gigabytes. Okay, this is how big it is, divided by for every 4 minutes. So how many get downloaded per minute? Well, this is going to be equal to, right? 36 divided by 4 is 9 gigabytes for every 1 minute. Okay, and we'll talk about how we use these unit rates in order to determine other things in your life. You actually use them quite a bit. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when we see each other again. Okay.
So this is the meaning of the rate and the unit rate. For example, we want to find a unit rate. Find a unit rate. Now, what is the rate? 24 miles in 4 hours. As you see here we have miles, here we have hours. So we have different units. We have different units. So how to find the rate? How to find the rate? You can write 24 and 4 as a ratio using the fraction. So written as a fraction, take 24 miles up and 4 hours down, Now, why do we divide it by 4? It is the denominator. How to convert from rate to the unit rate. From rate to the unit rate. Must to be here at the denominator 1. How to change 4 to the 1? Divided by 4, because 4 divided by 4 will be what? Will be 1. So I will be try to divide 24 up and 4 down by 4. So to find the unit rate, what do we do and why? Divide the numerator and the denominator by the denominator to make sure you get a 1 in the denominator. So what is the unit rate now? What does this mean in the context of the problem? As you see now, 24 divided by 4 will be what? Will be 6. And 4 divided by 4 will be 1. Now we have a new rate now. 6 mile per hour per 1 hour. 6 mile per 1 hour. So this is the unit rate. This is the unit rate. Now, how can you check your work? Use multiplication. If Adeline picked 6 miles in 1 hour, then she picked 6 times 4 or 24 miles in 4 hours. If you want to check your work, multiply here by 4 and here by 4. 6 times 4 will be 24, and 1 times 4 will be 4. So it's a 2. So it's a 2. So this is the meaning of rate and the unit rate, and how to change from rate to the unit rate. The next example.
تعال عادي اروح الحمام.
Quickly please. Find a unit rate. Find a unit rate. The question here, we have 150 miles in 6 gallons. 150 miles in 6 gallons. As you note here, as you see here, we have miles and gallons, different units. So the first step, write as a ratio, write using the fraction. So put here 150 mile up and 6 gallons down. So now we have rate. Now we have rate 150 mile per 6 gallon. So now we have rate. How to change from rate to the unit rate? Go to the denominator. We have here 6 in the denominator. So try to divide the numerator and denominator by the denominator. So here divide by 6 and here divide by 6. Why? Because we want to change the denominator to the 1. Now 150 divided by 6 and 6 divided by 6. Now 150 divided by 6 will be 25. And 6 divided by 6 will be 1. So we have now 25 mile per 1 gallon. So this is the unit rate. Why this unit rate? Because we have here 1 in the denominator. We have 1 in the denominator. Always when you have 1 in the denominator, means the rate here will be what? Unit rate. The rate here will be what? Unit rate. The third example now. When we want to compare between two things, as you see, choose the lower unit price. Choose the lower unit price. The question here, we have $4.99 for 6 cans, or if we have $7.99 for 10 cans. Means if I go to any supermarket and I pay 6 cans and the price will be $4.99, and if I buy 10 cans and the price will be $7.99, what is the lower price? What is the best price? What is the best price? How to choose if I have 2 offers? How to choose the best price? How to choose the best price? Now, the first offer here, we have 6 cans. The price will be what? $4.99. Write as using grade. Write using grade. So we can write here 4.99, and here we can write 6. 9. Now, divide up and down by 6. 4.99 divided by 6 will be what? Nearestly will be 0.8316. So this is the price. This is the rate of price for the first offer. Now go to the second offer. We have $7.99 for 10 cans. Write as a rate here. We can write 7.99 over 10. Divide up and down by 10. You will get here the answer 0.799. Now compare between the two prices here. Here we have 0.8, here we have 0.7. So this is the lower price. This is the lower price. So this is the best offer. This is the best offer. So the lower price or the best offer, I can take 10 cans with the $7.99. So this is the best. This is the best offer. Now this is our lesson today. This is our lesson today. What's the meaning of the rate and what's the meaning of the unit rate and how to change between rate and unit rate. Who has a question? Yes.
Mr. You will put this PowerPoint in Microsoft Teams?
Inshallah, in Microsoft Teams and in WhatsApp group.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Will we have homework?
Inshallah, we have homework. Yes.
Okay, Mr.
Okay. Who has a question? It's clear for all? Right. See with me now.
Mr. Clear. Clear.
Okay.
العادي تبدأ من 6
كلنا صف واحد الحين.
Here we have some practice, and this is the homework today. The question here, find each unit rate and round to the nearest hundredth if necessary. Right. I can choose here. Question number 2. The question now, we have 150 miles in 6 gallons. How to write the rate? How to write the rate? Use fraction. Use fraction. The first step, right here, 150 miles. Then down, you can write 6 gallons. 6 gallons. This is the rate. This is the rate. How to change to the unit rate? How to change to the unit rate? Go to the denominator. As you see here, the denominator will be 6. So divide up and down by 6. So I can write here 150 divide by 6. And down we can write, here we have 6, so we can write here 6 divide by 6. 6 divide by. Now we will find the answer here. 150 divided by 6 will be 25. And 6 divided by 6 will be 1. Gallon. So when you see here in the denominator 1 means we have now what? Unit rate. We have now what? Unit rate. Here rate and here unit rate. This is the difference. What is the difference? When you see the denominator 1 means we have unit rate. So here means we have 25 miles per 1 gallon. Per 1 gallon.
أستاذ هذا homework.
إن شاء الله.
مستر لازم نحل كل الأسئلة.
قد ما بدك حل ما في مشكلة.
نحلها بروحنا ولا يعني مع أمي وأبوي؟
لا حلها بروحك. حاول تحلها يعني حل أنت قد ما بتقدر ما في مشكلة.
زين.
The next question here, choose the lower unit price. Choose the lower unit price. طيب. I can choose this question now.
مستر الواجبات بترسلها على الواتساب ولا كيف؟
إن شاء الله نرسلها على الواتساب وعلى المايكروسوفت تيمز.
مستر.
The question now, we have $21.50 for 4 pounds of lunch meat. Or the two offer here, we have $15.10 for 3 pounds of lunch meat. You have two offers here. You want to choose the best offer, the lower price, How to know what is the lower price? Go to the first offer and write the rate. Use the fraction. Now here we have 21.50. So write 21.50 dollar. And here down we have 4 pound. 4 pound. 4 EL. You can use the calculator for the try to divide up and down by 4. So 21.50 divided by 4 will be 5.
لازم calculator.
75. Yes, no problem. You can use calculator, no problem. Now take the second offer. Also use the fraction. Here we have 15.10. Down we have 3 pound. Now we can use the calculator also. Try to find 15.10 divided by 3. Divide by 3 because here we have a 3. So divide up and down by 3. So 15.10 divided by 3 So will be find here 0.333 nearest. Now compare between the two answers here. What is the lower price? Here we have 5, here we have 5. Here point, here
Mr. 15.10 and 3 pounds is less.
great. Here we have 3, here we have 0. So this number smallest than this number. So the best offer here, we can choose this deal. This offer, it's great. So the answer here, the best offer here, we can choose 3 pounds of the lunch meat for $15.10. For $15.10. So
مستر ما فهمت السؤال.
السؤال احنا في عنا عرضين، يعني نحن بدنا نشتري وجبة لحم، تمام؟ في عندي عرضين، انا دخلت لعند البائع فقال لي عندك عرضين انت. العرض الاول اللي فيك تشتري 4 باوند، خلينا نقول 4 كيلو. فينا نشتري 4 كيلو من اللحم يكون السعر فيهم 21.50، او فيك تشتري 3 كيلو من اللحم السعر فيهم 15.10. طيب انت يعني بتختار، المفروض انه تختار الاقل سعر، صح؟ المفروض انك تدور على الاقل سعر. كيف بدك تعرف الاقل سعر؟ بتروح للعرض الاول، تمام؟ وبتكتبه على شكل ريت، تكتب العرض الاول على شكل ريت. كيف تكتبه على شكل ريت؟ بستخدم الفراكشن. نعمل الفراكشن فوق بالاعلى بنحط 21.50 وبالاسفل شو بنساوي؟ بنحط الفور. هلا بحاول اني احوله ليونت ريت. كيف احوله ليونت ريت؟ بعمل ديفايد فوق واللي تحت بعمل ديفايد بالفور بالدينومينيتور. ف 21.50 ديفايد باي 4 اعطاني الجواب 5.375. الان بنروح للاوفر الثاني، للعرض الثاني. اذا اشتريت انا 3 كيلو او 3 باوند من اللحم السعر فيهم 15.10، فانا بكتبهم على شكل ريت. فبستخدم الفراكشن، في الاعلى بنحط الثمن البرايس 15.10، في الاسفل اللي هو الكميه 3 باوند او 3 كيلو. نو بروبلم. هلا اطلع على الدينومينيتور، الدينومينيتور 3 معناتها لازم نعمل ديفايد فوق وتحت على 3. اذا عملنا ديفايد فوق وتحت على 3 فبيعطيني جواب تقريبا 5.0333. كيف بدي اعرف مين اكبر؟ بنقارن، هون 5 هون 5 نفس الشيء، هون بوينت هون بوينت، هون عندك 3 بس هون 0، ال 3 اكبر، معناتها هذا السعر الاعلى، هذا السعر مين الاقل. فانا دائما وقت بدي اشتري بختار شو؟ بختار السعر الاقل. صح؟ لانه انا عم قارن هون نفس الكميه، يعني بدي اشتري 3 كيلو من اللحم و4 كيلو من نفس اللحم، مو انه اللحم مختلف، نفس اللحم، معناتها بحاول اخذ السعر الاقل، معناتها هذا هو السعر الاقل. معناتها انا الافضل اني اشتري 3 كيلو من اللحم بسعر 15 او 15.10 افضل من ما اشتري 4 كيلو بسعر 21.50. تمام؟ واضح الكلام؟
واضح.
تمام. طيب who has a question now? Who has a question? It's clear for all?
Yes.
Yes, Mr.
طيب what is the title of our lesson?
مستر كلير.
Rate and units.
Yes, we learned today rate
Rate and unit.
rate and unit rate. When you want to compare between the different quantities or different units, so the name of this comparing will be what? Will be the rate. And when you see the denominator will be 1, means the rate here will be what? Unit rate. The rate will be unit rate. And the rate, it's very important when I want to compare between two offers, to choose the best price, to choose the lower price. Okay, so this is our lesson today. Inshallah, I will send the PowerPoint and the homework through the Microsoft Teams and through WhatsApp groups. Inshallah, thank you for your listening and have a nice day and see you tomorrow. Inshallah. Assalamu
Thank you,
alaikum.
Mr.
ورحمة الله.
أستاذ نطلع.
مع السلامة مستر.
مستر ممكن نطلع؟
Yes, you can. عليكم